Okay, we have a American Mantel clock, Seth Thomas. It's a make that we're going to be taking a look at. Needs a lot of cleaning. I don't know how much I'll put into that. Just want to see if we can get it running. Turn it around. The pillars need some work. Looking inside. The bone is completely loose. See why. And there's the movement. And I don't know what shape it's in until I get it out. I'll take a look. Get the back off. Somebody's put a couple screws in here. One nail and a couple of screws. And I guess we'll have to make that right when we put it back together. Get the back off. I'm looking inside. Pretty dirty. Little pieces of shredded paper. It might have been a mouse nest in here. And it really got a moldy smell in it, so we'll make sure that we coat the inside that with some diluted linseed oil and get rid of that moldy smell. It's really moldy smelling. Next thing to do is to take the hands off and see if we can do this one-handed. It's on with a pin and a washer. I'll have to set this down. Okay. Pull the pin out. Hands are off. Okay. Yeah, thoroughly clean this. We'll take the dial off, and that's held on with 3 screws, 4 screws. And we'll take those out, get the dial off. Okay, the dial is off, and get some idea of how dirty this is because there's the original finish underneath. This is an adamantine, like a celluloid that was patented by Seth Thomas. See the movement, pretty dirty. We'll be taking that out, taking a look at it. And like most of these clocks, typical. There's 4 screws that hold the movement in. So we'll be taking that out. I'm not sure what's going on with that spring. It's unwound up against the wall of the clock. I'm going to have to wind it and see. I hope the spring's not broken because that'll be a mess to get out. Something going on here. If I try turning the key, the spring doesn't wind. There's no click. If I look down in there, I can see why. I can see the click spring. See if I can get in on it enough for you to see it. See the spring is out of the click. I don't know if I can get that back on there or not, but that's what I gotta do is get the click on there. I gotta use 2 hands. Now I was able to wind that spring enough that it's not any longer up against the wall of the clock, and that'll allow me to get the movement out of there now. Sometimes just getting the movement out of the case is a pain in the rear out of there. Man, you can see there's mildew on the growing on the wood. That's what's giving a moldy smell. So we'll have to clean that and seal that. Okay, we have a bell on here. If I get the bell off, that's strikes on the half hour. bell. Let me get these off of here. Okay. And that bell is going to need some cleaning. Put those in the container. And I'll take a look at the general condition. It's really dirty and a lot of rust stains, so there's stuff going on here. Let me see if I can get this camera over here so you can kind of see what's going on. And before we screw things up, let's get the suspension spring out of there so it doesn't get all busted. Looks okay. I don't see any cracks in it. Alright. We're going to check for pivot wear before we do anything else. Yeah, there's at least a few worn pivots. That's definitely pretty badly worn. There are a few. Anyway, we do have some worn pivots. What I need to do now is just get these springs let down and see what we can do with it so we can clean it and get it back going. And the strike mechanism works. Seems to run okay. I don't see any in the... watch it now. Get around to here. Yeah. Boy, even this movement, man, does it stink. It smells like mold. Man, that is really rough. Okay. Got a clamp on it. And now, need to get a let-down key. Should be it there. There's a 5. Oh, must be a 6. Yeah. 6, okay. Try to let this down. Oh, man. Come on. There we go. Okay. Gotta take note of, here's where the hammer is for the hour. And here's where the bell is for the half hour. Where it sets when it's put back together. It's going to sit in here. The original condition. And you can see it's pretty dirty. But we're going to take it apart now and clean this thing up. Gummy. Okay, there they are. took a screw out of here, and it should come apart. Everything about this thing is just gummed up and tight. There we go. Okay. Alright, okay. There it is. All taken apart. I'll have to let the springs down so we can clean those or remove them with the spring winder. Anxious to get these cleaned. This thing stinks to the high heavens of mold. Come on. Come on. Don't like this spring. Okay. Alright. Finally. Okay, I was asked by a couple people show how I clean these parts. Well, let's take a look at them before I start. You can see how dirty these are. They're all very oily. This is all the run side. You see how dirty that is. Get to the strike side. And stuff is pretty nasty. Alright. Well, so what we're going to do, here's the plates. You see they're stained, very dirty. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little, use a sieve. I don't have a basket for my ultrasonic, so put all these wheels in here so they don't end up in the bottom of the ultrasonic, get lost, but put all the parts in here. And there you go, just set the, here's the ultrasonic cleaner. So what I'm going to do, I've got this turned on, been heating up. So I'll set this basket in here. Minutes. Timer. Yeah, we'll set it for about 20 minutes. Hit the button. Yeah, it's now cleaning. So let that clean clean for 20 minutes or so. Okay, we're going to take these out of here now. See what we got. And you can see there's a significant difference in them already. There's also a lot of gunk that didn't come off. They'll have to be removed by hand. So we'll take these over. I'm going to rinse them in water. Plates. Okay. What I'm going to do is throw the 2 springs in there. I'll let them cook for a while. Rinsing everything under hot water and laundry sink. We'll start with the plates, put those down, and dry everything off. Take a look at just how dirty they still are. Now we take the looks like we got most of the dirt off. A little staining on the here. There's some. You see this staining. Don't ask me what it's from. I have no idea. But we'll steel wool. We'll remove that junk. So I will do quite a bit of this just to get the plates looking nice. Almost like a rust stain that gets on there. But I know brass doesn't rust, but I have no idea what causes it. There's not any lacquer on these, so it's not lacquer that's the problem. It's just stuff that the ultrasonic won't get off. And anyway, I'll cut up pieces of steel wool to get in all the little nooks and crannies and work on this. Just nice to start out with everything real clean. That's getting most of it. I'm not going to take a lot of time to sit here and show every bit of this, but just get some idea of what an initial cleaning can do. Anyway, that's a good start. So that's first step I do. And that just getting things kind of cleaned up. Now when we get to these, you can see there's still a lot of gunk around that gear. And we'll get that, but we'll also hit any stains that we see. Those are heavy stains in the metal. And but we got to dry all these parts, so we'll do that. Okay, as we take the gears out, we dry them. And this is also a good time for me to look through the magnifier. This magnifier here. And I can check out pivots, see if there's any significant wear. I can look at the trundles and the lantern pinions. See if there's anything there, look for any damage. And you can see that the ultrasonic cleaner's done a pretty good job of cleaning that up. And we'll just go with this. Okay. Here's one from the strike side, so we'll get these all cleaned up. Blow out the lantern pinions. And examine, make sure we don't have any damage. Some staining, that's all. Oh, we'll continue it. I need to get these stains off of here. I'm just going to clean them up with this 4-aught steel wool. Man, I don't know what the heck this gunk is. Let's get this heaviest stuff off. See, there's like a rust stain here, and that needs to come off. I don't like having rust around. Posts. And clean those up. I can just about not get any more off without some help. So now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to get my cleaner stuff. This is a thing that I really like. It's made for acrylic showers and tubs. I'm just going to pour some in a little container so I can get a hold of it. First I can use a little bit of that with the steel wool. This will also help cut the got a very mild abrasive in it. Helps clean up everything. Okay, there's a little spot here I don't like. Right here. Okay, I'll wipe it off. I'll wipe the other half off. Alright, so now if you look at this, I don't know if this will show up or not. Well, anyway, this half has been done with the polish. This half hasn't been. And so that's how I clean them up, and that looks a heck of a lot better than what it did when I started. I guess gets all the dirt off. Alright, now then, that's pretty good. That's clean. Now when you get to something like this, this can't be taken apart because it's all riveted in. But I need to clean along here and around here. So then what I'll do is I'll take a brush like this, dip it in the polishing compound, and then just take it and scrub it with a brush. Put the polishing compound in there. Just really give it a scrubbing. And that'll take all that garbage off the stuff. Yeah, it kind of splashes around. But in fact, if you want, you can use a brush on the whole thing. And the brush will work fine too. Just take it and scrub the and that'll remove any residual garbage that's still on those plates. Get into most nooks and crannies with the brush just fine, but it does clean real good. And then once I've used that brush, get all the stains off. Then I can wipe it with the towel. Get most of this off. And then what you do is just let the rest of it dry. And then they can be brushed off with a clean brush. So that side is pretty well cleaned up. Now I just let that dry a little bit. And after that dries, then I take a clean brush and just like the shining shoes. No way of shining shoes. I don't suppose too many people do that anymore. Just use the brush. Brush it all off. Get into nooks and crannies. Okay, and then if there's still spots you can't get into with the brush, that's what Q-tips are for. Get into those spots and get the dirt out. That's about as good as that's going to get. I'm not really getting crazy about it. Okay. And the plates are fairly clean. Now what I want to do is I want to clean those pivots. So what I'll do for that is I'll get some toothpick and a little knife. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a toothpick, stick it in some of that polish. I'm going to go into all the pivot holes. I'm just going to do this and polish the inside of those pivot holes. Yeah, it's taking a lot of gunk out of them too. Now we'll go back later and we'll take all of that stuff out. But that will remove any junk that's in there. So I just keep going down with all the pivot holes. Polish the dickens out of them. Okay, we're going to let those dry. And then we use toothpicks to clean them out. Now, that old business with the toothbrushes comes in real good when you have here like a lantern pinion now. We'll take each gear with the lantern pinion and see one that's got junk in it that wouldn't come out. I can just take a brush. And I can brush those lantern pinions. And it gets all any stuck gunk out of them. Same thing with the wheels. If you want to look between the teeth, see if there's any junk in them. Use a brush to pull out any junk between any of the teeth. And if you want to polish up the wheels, let's take the brush at this time and polish them up like this. We still have to polish the pivots and the lathe, but you can take each gear, get any staining off of them this way too if you like. For this type of movement, you probably wouldn't do all this, but just to demo how to clean it up. Anyway, there's a gear now. It's nice and clean and polished. And what we can do again is let these dry till that polishing compound completely dries. Then take a cleaner brush and just going to brush any residue off. And those bristles get in between the trundles and they get all the junk out that might be trapped inside that lantern pinion. And this one's pretty dirty. They'll remove all of that. Then go back to and you can, and we'll redo these again. But using the brush, the dryer brush, and polish these up to remove any residue. And blow them dry. Okay, there's a little bit of rust mark on that arbor. I'm just going to take steel wool and remove that rust. And I can also go around the lantern pinion on the shrouds. Look at the pin on the warning pin. Looks good, looks good. Now pivots have to be polished in the lathe, but I can't see if I got that there. I think you can see that gear is nice and clean now. And should look good. Let me put the light back this way a little bit. There's it better. Okay, so we got that lantern pinion really nice and clean. If there's any particles of dirt in between the gear teeth, you get all of that out. And that one's clean. And that's basically how we'll proceed. Here's the gear that lifts the hammer. And let's see. Lantern pinion, not too bad, but see, there's still some dirt on here. So if I take that brush, a bit of that compound, and I start cleaning these, and I just scrub the daylights out of it, I end up with really dirty hands. But you get every last bit of dirt and corrosion off. This is removing all of that grime that's on there. This one is particularly dirty. It usually doesn't take near this long. Get it all off of there. And we got dirt behind that wheel. I'm going to polish it a little bit. Oh, why this one was so big to dry. Hit it. Hit it. And this is an especially dirty one. Okay. There. Okay, now that's about as clean as I can get it. Got a lot of junk out of the inside. One tiny little spot in there. Edge of that looks good. Okay. See Okay, this has been through the cleaner. You can see all the junk that's around the teeth here. Again, if I take this brush, put a little compound on it, and I just go like this, I can get that junk out of there. Ooh, man, that's in there. If somebody says, how do you clean? Depends on what you need to do. And this is pretty dirty. Just use that brush, a little compound on it, get in there and get all that gook out of there. All the gunk. Over here, we'll just go ahead and clean this up. Okay. After I wipe all that dry, I'm going to take our dry brush again, and we'll go in here and we'll just polish. This is removing residue and cleaning it up. Final cleanup. Check the teeth. If there's any dirt in there, the brush will take any garbage out of between the teeth. Kind of like flossing, I guess. Oh, anyway. There's nice clean gear. Okay, that's better. All you gotta do is polish pivots. Get that one done. Okay, we have to polish pivots. Let's see if I can straighten this out. There we go. There, come in a little bit so we can actually see what's going on here. That looks pretty good. all the parts after they've been cleaned, pivots polished. And we're ready now to put them back between the plates and examine for worn pivots and pivot holes. Oh, no worn pivots, no. Couple worn pivots that I ground down when I polished the pivots, so I know there'll be a couple of pivot holes that'll have to be rebushed. And I have wooden stick. I just shave with a knife, cut the tip rather pointed, and then I find all the pivot holes like here, rotate in the pivot hole to clean out any residue and to polish that pivot. And cut off a new tip. And just keep rotating it in the holes till all the junk is out, and then they're nice and polished. Irregular, so I know there's going to be a bushing here I'm going to have to replace. Okay, and I'll continue down through all of these. Okay, we have the run side gears in. Main wheel, second wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel, and escape wheel. Second wheel, I think you can see that's pretty bad. Let's move up to the third wheel. Quite a bit of slop. Fourth wheel, really, really bad. And the escape wheel, yep. So basically every one of these needs done. Pretty loose. Third wheel. And jumps around. Fourth wheel. Yep, and escape wheel. Yeah. So basically, just for the run side, every bushing needs replaced. We have essentially the same thing on the strike side. We look at this way. We look at the second wheel. There's just too much wear there. Third wheel. Same thing, pretty well worn. Looks like somebody may have tried to peen that one. Next wheel. Not as bad, but it's still worn. Still worn. Third wheel, not too bad. Fourth wheel or warning wheel. Worn, but not too bad. And fan, okay. So we got we're going to start rebushing, and what I'm doing with each of the wheels is I'm writing down the ones that I'm going to rebush, and in the case of the run side, it's going to be all of them. As I'm using a caliper to measure the diameters of the pivots on each wheel, on the back and for the front, and then I'm writing those down so that I now have them all on a list, and I can now get my reamers, bushings, and broaches all set out and do all of these all at one time. And I also have to get out the file and file out the holes. Alright, for these bushings now, for the front and back, I'm going to be using these for the escape wheel, the fourth wheel, the third wheel, and the second, or the escape, fourth and third wheels. And then I'm going to be using these for the second wheel, both front and back. So first thing we need to do, I've got a nice, this is a, those of you who want to know what these are and what I got, this is an escapement file. It's called, brand name is Grobet, Grobet. It's a number 2 cut, and it's a round. You might find them under pattern file or escapement file. It's got a square handle or square bottom, and it's a file from this point on up. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take each of those holes that are going to be rebushed, and I'm going to file out the unworn side of the hole in an amount equal to the side that's worn, so that when I use the reamers to ream out the hole to put the bushings in, that the holes are, that the reamer will find the true center of the hole. If I don't file out the side of the hole that's unworn, it's going to shift, the reamer is going to want to shift to the center of the existing hole, which will be off center from the true center. So we want to make sure that when we cut these holes that they're to the true center. So we're going to file those out, and the way we do that is I have marked for each hole by wiggling the gears when I had the train in there. I can see I've marked the side of the hole that's the unworn side, so I know I got a file on this side, I got a file on this side where the mark is, I got a file on this side where the mark is, I got a file up here where that mark is, and I got to look under my magnifier to see how much to file out, see how much is actually worn. So I'm going to look under the magnifier, say for the escape gear, and I'm going to see that how much the wear is, and then I'm going to take this file. Let's see, let me move this up just a bit. And take this file in the hole, and I'm going to file on that unworn side. And now I can look at the edge of the hole. to tell how much has been worn and how much is unworn. I'm going to do that for each of these holes. I'm going to do the same on the other plate. I look in here and I can see, I don't know, I would have to put this under a magnifier for you to see, but if you looked under the magnifier, you could see that this circle, it's worn on this side. The wall of that thing is a little thinner, and so I want to file on this side so that the reamer will find center. I'm going to do that for all of these too. And now I'm going to pre-drill each of those holes with a 2mm reamer. Make it a lot easier. Get the other drill through, or other reamer through. No, it's just the number 2 wheel. It's going to take a 3.5-inch reamer. So we'll do just the number 2. In front and back. Take the number 3mm. Oh, I gotta get that in there, right? Not wanting to work here. Actually, it's a 2.97mm. And we'll do the other. Okay, and now we're ready to put bushings in. Okay. Before I put the the bushings in, I'm going to take this tool and just remove the burrs from the holes that I just opened up. And I'll put just the tiniest bit of a chamfer. Oops, into the. Dropped it. Okay. And it goes almost. That little bit of a chamfer will make it easier to get the bushing started. Just takes that burr off. Okay, and we can now get started with putting those in. And so we'll start with the 1.5 bore bushing. That's for the number 2 wheel. And we will put a block down to pound against. We'll take the bushing and we'll put it so that that's it, roll off on me. Okay, put it so that sink, oil sink, is toward the outside. And we will line it up on the hole. And now I'm going to take my little hammer, I'm going to hit it, and then really tight. And I think what I'll do is I'll put that over a hole in the block. It's like there's about just a tiny tenth of a millimeter smaller thickness in the plate than the bushing, so it's gonna need to be pushed through. So that's one bushing in. You can see that. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. You see that bushing right there. Okay, I'll now do the ones for the others now. Okay, our next step now is to fit the hole to the pivot. This is the second wheel bushing we just put in. It has a bore of 1.5 millimeters, but this pivot, which is going to go into that hole, is 1.62 millimeters. So we have to cut out that hole until this fits in it. And to do that, we use what's called a cutting broach. And so we put this cutting broach in and we start to cut the hole until such time as that fits. Now that's a fit. And I just want to go to the other side and do just a tiny bit. And that fits. Okay? And we have to do the same thing on the front plate to the bushing we just put in there, only it's the other side of the wheel that has that pivot go in, and it needs to be broached out to 1.61 millimeters. So we're going to put this broach in, and we're going to cut until that's broached out. Fit, not quite. This cuts the hole bigger. And a bit more. Okay, now that wheel is just going in, but it's still too tight. I'm going to broach from the other side. Because this broach is tapered, we don't really want a tapered hole. Okay. Whoops, wrong hole. That's very close. A little bit more. That looks good. Okay, so now we have that hole broached out, and that wheel is now going to fit between the plates. What I want to do though is remove the burr from that side, and I also want to remove the burr from the other one that I cut. And then the next step, and I need some oil to do this. Next step is to use a smoothing broach to smooth that hole out that I just cut. And that's the right size smoothing broach. So I'll take the cutting broach out, put a smoothing broach in. Well, not on that side, I won't. Put it on this side. And a smoothing broach could be done with just a tiny bit of oil on it. So what we're going to do, we're going to polish out that hole. Like so. From both sides. This side. Okay. Now we've cut the hole bigger. We've broached it out. And now what we want to do, we're just going to check and make sure that everything fits on that one. Do the others, which requires a different set of broaches. Okay. Okay, there we go. Make sure that it runs freely and that it shakes back and forth. Got side to side shake, and it runs very well. And there is no big significant play in that. Okay, now we'll do the others. Okay, so all of those are bush now. Now we look at the second wheel, we wiggle. We don't see the movement in those pivots anymore. Nice and tight. You see everything running smoothly. And if I give it a push, everything runs smooth. Okay. So we got the front side rebushed. Okay, we have the strike side all bushed. Everything's better now. The strike side runs well. All the sloppiness is out of it. And we'll do a final cleanup and put it back together. Alright, the lubricant I'm using for springs is one of the popular ones now, called Slick 50. And keep it in a container here. And I use a brush and spray into the inner coils, and use a brush to lay it onto the outer coils. And we just use some rubber gloves just because it's so messy if you get it all over your hands. Anyway, we go round and round. like so. All the way in as far as we can with the brush. And spread it onto the coils anyway. That's good. And then we take this and we look and see. It's going to wind this way. So we need to put that into the center so that that's where the center is. And we're going to take this and put it into the spring winder. Go in this way. Here, and we are going to wind. Okay. God, I hate this. Clamp on. We're going to flip the reverse on this, and we are going to now reverse it until tight against the clamp, and we're all set. And this is ready to reinstall in the clock. And now before we put this back together, we're again going to take our plates, we're going to take toothpicks, and we're going to go through and clean each pivot hole. One last time. Okay. And we'll do the same with the other side. Okay, here's what it looks like with everything in place. Seth Thomas's are just an absolute miserable movement to put back together. It's just, they just don't go together real easily. So this is now ready for the back plate to be put on. And we'll do that next. Okay, it's back together. And we got to oil it. this over here. Okay. Let's look at turn it over. Okay. Alrighty. Looks good to me. Alright, here's the case. I took the case completely apart so I could clean the plastic pieces that are in it. The pillars and these back pieces here. And the dial. And the ornaments that are on them. I didn't do anything but just clean the dirt off of them. But the case was really dirty. And I get the inside of the case cleaned out real well. Took it completely apart because it was so moldy smelling. The only way to get rid of that moldy smell was to take it apart, clean it thoroughly, all the pieces of the case, and then brush on a sealer coat of linseed oil and mineral spirits so it doesn't have that stink anymore. I also cleaned out the filigree that's on the front. It was all filled with dirt. It's now visible. Here's the inside of the case now. It's nice and clean. No more mildew growing on it, no more mold. So we can put the case in it, put the back on, and see if we can get it running. Well, we have it back in the case and it's running. The pendulum that they brought me is not the right pendulum for this clock. Should be a brass weight with an S and a T on it, and time is adjustable from the front, so the key they brought to isn't even the right one because there's not a small end to it. So anyway, it definitely is running. And if you want to hear a chime, I'll just half hour, it rings the bell like that. So anyway, that's it.